Friday, July 24th, 2026. Scripture, Ezekiel 29, 17-30-9. Key verses. 18. Son of man, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon drove his army in a hard campaign against Tyre. Every head was rubbed bare, and every shoulder was worn raw, yet neither he nor his army received any reward from the campaign against Tyre. 19. Therefore this is what the sovereign Lord says, I am going to give Egypt to King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. He will carry off her wealth, loot and plunder the land, and it will be the wages for his army. 20. I have given him Egypt as a reward for his labor, because he and his army worked for me, declares the sovereign Lord. 21. On that day I will make a horn grow for the people of Israel, and I will open your mouth among them. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Meditation. Ezekiel 29:17 records the latest dated prophecy in the entire book of Ezekiel. It was given around 571 BC, 27 years after King Jehoiachin was taken into exile. Jerusalem had already been destroyed about 15 years earlier, and Nebuchadnezzar's long siege of Tyre had just come to an end. Nebuchadnezzar fought against Tyre for about 13 years. At that time, Tyre consisted of two parts, a mainland city and a fortified island offshore. Although he destroyed the mainland, he was unable to capture the island completely. After such a long and exhausting campaign, the Babylonian army gained far less plunder than they had expected. That is why the Bible describes their heads as worn bald and their shoulders rubbed raw, picturing the hardship they endured during the siege. Yet God did not overlook Nebuchadnezzar's labor. He said, "They worked for me." Nebuchadnezzar was not fighting to serve God. He was pursuing the expansion of his own empire and seeking wealth and power. But without realizing it, he became an instrument in God's hand to carry out his judgment on Tyre. Since he received little reward from Tyre, God declared that Egypt would become the payment for his army. History tells us that shortly after the siege of Tyre, Nebuchadnezzar invaded Egypt around 568 to 567 BC. Nebuchadnezzar may have believed that he was directing the course of history. In reality, it was God who was directing him. God can even use kings and nations that do not know him to accomplish his purposes. Then, quite unexpectedly, the prophecy ends with a promise to Israel. God says, "On that day I will make a horn grow for the people of Israel." In the Bible, a horn symbolizes strength, authority, and restoration. God's ultimate purpose was not simply to bring down Tyre or Egypt. Through his judgment, he was humbling proud nations and preparing to restore his own people. The true ruler of history is not Babylon, Tyre, or Egypt. It is not today's superpowers or political leaders either. Every nation rises and falls under God's sovereign hand. People may think they are shaping history by their own wisdom and power, but God is accomplishing his will through them. There are times when I cannot understand the people or circumstances in my own life. Yet God is able to use even those situations for his purpose. Rather than fearing what I see, I want to trust the God who is faithfully guiding history behind the scenes. In the end, one truth remains. Then they will know that I am the Lord,